From time immemorial, women have cultivated the culture of doing their due diligence when it comes to buying commodities either for trading purposes or for domestic use. Most of us grew up seeing our mothers travel several miles to some market several villages away just to purchase an item in large quantity. Although you ask why she would not buy such from the nearby market, the answer you get is, it is cheaper to get it at village so and so. Mother rises another day and heads to a different market or farm to get another commodity. And this time, you know, she goes by the same principle, get the best at the lowest cost, even if hundreds of kilometers away. Despite the inconvenience suffered, particularly if for commercial purposes, the trader always knows how to make profit without scaring her customers away. She sure wants them to keep coming back for quality goods at affordable prices. The same is the principle behind international trade. The global market seeks to get commodities of the best grade from any part of the world willing to offer such at relatively lower costs. That is where the exporter comes in. Today on this program, we shall be focusing on commodity and product identification as an important part of our roadmap to profitable export business. Welcome to Export Digest. My name is Femi Boyede.
Hello, I'm Denise.
My name is Yinka Titiloye. I'm a farmer. Welcome to the E30 Model Farm.
I'm Craig Waters from Oklahoma State University.
Watch Export Digest.
Watch Export Digest.
Watch Export Digest.
If you're just joining us, this is Export Digest, your #1 program that periscopes the non-oil export sector, highlighting the opportunities therein and exploring strategies to exploit these opportunities. At Export Digest, we also seek to identify and proffer solutions to challenges in the export sector in such a way that practitioners and policymakers alike can craft a way forward in improving on their respective roles. Today's episode is focused on commodity and product identification as an important ingredient for export success. For a profitable export business, product identification is of utmost importance. An entrepreneur should select the right product for export for several reasons. The selection can be made on the basis of consideration of various factors. Let us look at 4 major points that must be considered among the several other factors. 1. Trends in exports. An entrepreneur who plans to enter into exports can identify the products or product groups with potential in the foreign markets by analyzing the trends in exports, that is, country-wise and commodity-wise, over a period of time. 2. Production capacity and availability. The exporter should choose those products for which there is adequate production capacity in the country and the product can be sourced for in the desired quantities. A steady supply base is essential to ensure that the exporter is able to deliver the goods to the foreign buyer based on the agreed delivery time schedules. 3. Product adaptability. A product may have huge potential for export in one market, yet the same product offered in another market may not be viable due to any one or more of these reasons: the physical conditions, the functional requirements, cultural factors, taste, levels of skills, and levels of technical development. A product or commodity offered in a foreign market must be subjectable to the required adaptation in its design, color, size, taste, and packaging in order to be successful. 4. Demand in potential export markets. The level of demand for a product in the target export market is an important factor in the selection of the product for export. You may want to ask, is there an identified need for the product in the target market? What is the gap between production and anticipated consumption? To what extent is the gap being filled by imports? Is the product or the service understood and accepted by the target market? What is the general level of acceptance of the imported products in the foreign market? And what is the state of competition in the foreign market for the product? Who are the competing exporters and from which countries? Are you already producing exportable products? First, you need to ask yourself, who are your end users? Who are your targets? Who and who are likely to buy this product? Where are they located? What does it take to reach those to whom you wish to serve your products? In what form does my target market prefer I serve them this product?
I think the first thing is when an exporter on the continent, in Nigeria in particular, is exploring what they should be exporting. One of the fundamental concern I have is the product selection doesn't match US needs. So in a conversation I'm asking, what do you have to export? And the Nigerian exporter is saying things like gari, yam, and I'm like, okay, good. Unless you're trying to feed Nigerians in the diaspora, those items, mainstream buyers are not looking to export gari. Because the consumer, the US consumer, consumes things like cocoa, cashew, peanuts, cosmetic items. So fundamentally, I think the first thing is to say product or commodity identification is key. From an exporter standpoint, you want to position yourself for things that are in demand. Now, there's obviously opportunities for you to tap into Nigerians in the diaspora and supply them by all means. But if you're trying to attract mainstream buyers, you need to strategically position yourself to understand what they are looking for. So that is key, sir, is to identify products like cashew, cotton, peanuts, cocoa, palm, products that go into the commodities that go into the product that US consumers are interested in. So information around that is key.
One should also ask what regulations govern the environment where my target market is.
Another thing on the US side that I have found that we've not taken advantage of is AGOA, the policy that the US government have put in place to help African businesses integrate back into America. Unfortunately, sir, a lot of our businesses that should also take advantage of that, there's lack of information. So I see lack of information on both sides, and that is something we constantly have to educate people. So there's education, need for educating not just Nigerians but also US businesses around opportunities in Africa.
Are there others already penetrating or have successfully penetrated this same market? What makes them successful? For those who have attempted and are yet to break even in this same market, what are they likely doing wrong? How prepared am I to serve my target market? Do you intend getting into export business and don't even know which commodity to trade in? Experts advise you engage in an exportable item that you are passionate about.
Have a product or a service that you're passionate about, not necessarily something that you're going to make a lot of money with, but something that you really believe in. Look at opportunities that don't necessarily seem like anybody else is doing. So even in your niche market, let's say if it's training and development, and you see that no one is working with childcare providers, how do you train someone to take care of children that aren't your own? Make your own regulations. Say this is the steps that I think you need to take. These are the things you need to do. That's just an example. So there's always something that is missing in the market in what you're doing that someone else needs that can help them do business globally and or do business within their own country. So be very open-minded about what you're doing and how you're going to get from point A to point B.
For those already trading in one commodity or another, you must have discovered where to source the commodity from here in Nigeria. Although information about many items in Nigeria seems unavailable, you must painstakingly resolve to get the information about the commodity you intend trading in by all means.
Hello, I'm Denise.
My name is Yinka Titiloye. I'm a farmer. Welcome to the E30 Model Farm.
I'm Craig Waters from Oklahoma State University.
Watch Export Digest.
Watch Export Digest.
Watch Export Digest.
Export Digest took a field trip to E30 Farm in Saminaka, a village on the Kaduna-Abuja road in Nigeria's north central. As we identified, it is a demonstration farm that produces a variety of fruits and vegetables and has high potentials for export. Certainly, the prospects to break into the international market is real and the potential high. So it is for many Nigerian farms and factories. Take a look.
I became a farmer because at some point I asked myself, when I was tired of sitting in offices and waiting for people and all of that, and after I lost some friends, to premature deaths, I asked myself, what are you really doing? What if the same thing that happened to those people that died happens to you today? What would be said that you have done? And that's when I decided, look, I need to do something, that my children can be proud of. And of course, I have a love for plants. And so I delved into agriculture. And it's been tough, but nonetheless, I know that there's a great potential there. Addressing the issue you were saying about what the federal government can do to encourage export of produce, I think agriculture should actually be a thing that should be dealt with on the state and local government levels. Each state should identify what can be readily grown in that state and seek to build the capacity of their farmers and their extension agents, or rather the extension agents first and the farmers. So the extension agents can, make sure the information or knowledge gets down to the individual farmers so that they can produce relevant crops according to good agricultural practices, which will be good enough quality for the international market. We've done exports before of ugu leaves, bitter leaf, water leaf, ewedu. We've done all of that before. But what the plan is here is not to sell fresh produce. Is to add value.
Yeah.
So the things we are growing that we want to add value to are ginger. There's a ginger field over there. I will show you. Is ginger, and then the essential oils from the same ginger, from jasmine, from the jasmine flower, from the lang lang flower, from the rosemary, from lemongrass, add value, extract the oil from those, and export the essential oil. But the thing though I keep saying is, even before you talk about export, there's a huge market in Nigeria.
Yeah, because
First
Nigeria
and foremost.
itself is
So
an
that's always a
export
way
market.
that you can, first of all, with the Nigerian market, get by until you sort out your export issues, until you learn the ropes. So it's actually for anyone who is serious and will do. I tell people, farming is a science. You need to do things, do certain things as at when they're due to be done. If you leave it too late, it's going to affect your yield. If you do it too early, it will affect your yield. If you use the wrong doses of whatever it is you're supposed to apply, it will affect your yield. So it's very important, first and foremost, for anyone that wants to do this, to first of all build their capacity. Inform themselves as to the best practices to adopt. Once you do that, it's very worrisome that not enough people realize that, and people are talking about unemployment. There's no reason for us to have the level of unemployment that we do. We started this place in November 2015. What we've essentially done is to do demonstration plots of various things to determine, okay, what are the things we want to focus on. We're starting a program where we provide ginger farmers with fertilizers and inputs, to grow their ginger, and have an agreement with them to offtake the ginger at harvest. Everywhere around here, every family around here is growing ginger. So there's a ready-made cluster of ginger farmers here. What we're doing, we're supplying this to ShopRite. So what we do is every week we plant in the nursery, so that every week we are transplanting, and ultimately every week you have.
And like you said, if you use the local market to prepare yourself for the export market, capacity to supply to a ShopRite, for example, is a good training ground.
Exactly, and that's what should be done. These are things we are doing with Kaduna State government. We have Kenyan agronomists coming in to train the farmers in Kaduna State. The Kaduna State government is embarking on rehabilitation of irrigation schemes and all, so that you have drip irrigation, not the what you've been talking about. You have drip irrigation. It enables you to have good quality produce. So the Kenyans are coming in to do all of that training, and give it a year or so, you will begin to hear that very good stuff is coming out of Kaduna State. We shouldn't do this thing where the good things go out and we should be eating the rubbish. We should have a standard. That's the essence of the training. Once you have a standard, it's just now for you to say, okay, look, I have a market here. There's a limit to how much you can do in Nigeria. Once you now see you are expanding, you now have to start exporting.
No, I'm not actually I'm not looking at different standards. I'm looking at the capacity to meet the export order.
Yeah.
So that if you have a contract, we're talking about offtake agreement, and that's what is ringing in my head. Develop the market first and then produce for the market. So you can have an agriculture free zone, for example. All free zones don't necessarily have to be where things are manufactured. You can have an agriculture free zone. For this your farm, for example, you can decide to make it an APZ. Just a special economic zone producing for a particular market. And you don't have to only export the raw materials. You can do an integrated thing. You harvest, you wash, you clean, you size, you package, and from here it goes out and goes straight into the supermarket. I think it's something that government also.
But again, yes, but it's good for us also. Yes, government should do things, but we have to on our own. Everything I'm doing here, government has nothing to do with it. If government or banks or whatever will come to my aid, one will be able to expand this substantially, But
Well,
I'm not sitting around waiting for government or waiting for anybody to do something.
That's the clincher. We plan on visiting and showcasing as many Nigerian farms, factories, plantations, and MSMEs in the coming weeks on Export Digest. Let us know if you would love us to beam your efforts to our teeming audience. Don't forget that Export Digest is by far and so far the independent authority in export business in Nigeria, having consistently engaged in the intricacies of the export business for over the past 3 decades. In addition to what you have learned so far today, we shall now bring you step 4 of the 7 steps to export success, courtesy of the Center for the Development of Imports from Developing Countries, the CBI Netherlands. In her efforts to keep up to date with the yearnings of our teeming viewers, the Corporate Affairs Commission has also been working on some reforms that will enhance the ease of doing business in Nigeria. Today on the CAC segment, the Registrar General will let us into some of these reforms.
CAC is trying to contribute to the ease of doing business in this country, because if you are doing business in Nigeria, your first place of call is Corporate Affairs Commission, because you need to have a place of business that will enable you have a record of your businesses. It will enable you also have access to bank accounts. It also allow you to have your TIN number for tax reasons and so forth and so on. CAC has been trying to make it easier for people to do these businesses. What we did earlier on was to allow state offices to register companies without having recourse to Abuja. Initially, you have to come to Abuja to register a business. If it's a company, this officer just collect your documents and send them to Abuja by courier, and then we do it here and then send back the certificate to the office to give it to you. But now we have 5 state offices whereby they can start and finish their businesses. Apart from Abuja, second office in Wuse, Zone 5, we have Lagos, Alausa, and Marina. We also have Enugu, and we have Port Harcourt. We also have Kaduna, and we have Nkano. In all these offices, you can start registering a company and finish without having recourse to head office. That means time for registration is shortened by that activity. We are planning to extend it to other offices before the end of this year. We are planning to extend to 24 offices. So by the end of this year, we will have at least 25 or 26 offices where you can start this and finish registering your companies without having to come to Abuja. That's where we are now.
Let us now take our question of the week. As usual, the first correct entry gets a prize. The prize this week is courtesy of Newgate Hospital Foundation. Wow! We have come to the end of yet another interesting episode of Export Digest. Thank you so much for staying with us. Hope you learned something useful today. As you know, we strive to always expand your knowledge and enhance your readiness to export. Remember, you can watch this particular episode and even others before it on our YouTube channel www.youtube.com/Export Digest. As usual, we will appreciate your comments, observations, and contributions as we continue in our march towards making Nigeria a viable exporting nation while leading our viewers into the hidden secrets of export treasures. Our channels of communication are open and have been showing on your screen. Many thanks to our sponsors for their contributions to the development of Export Digest. Remember, by showcasing your businesses, your goods and services on this program, you will be helping us immensely to pay for our airtime and cost of production, while expanding the corporate mileage you get for your brand, products, and services. We therefore invite you to come on board by calling us today, and you will not regret doing so. Join us same time on this same channel next week for another eye-opening package of Export Digest. I am Femi Boyede. See you then, and God bless Nigeria.